everyone. This video is for CIS111, Ethics and Information Technology. My name is Dr. Conrad de la Cruz, and this week we'll be covering chapters 3 and 4 of our text, and I'll be talking about, in this video, the major points that the two chapters cover. So, cybersecurity and cyber attacks. Cyber attacks are ever-growing threats to individual, companies, and governments. The increasing reliance on digital infrastructure, digital assets, has made cybersecurity incidents more prevalent, with wide-ranging consequences such as financial losses, reputational damage, and data breaches. This lecture will cover chapters 3 and 4 and explore why cyber attacks are so common, their effects, and how to implement a strong cybersecurity program in order to prevent some of these from happening. We'll also discuss the evolving threat landscape, what threat landscape is, the various types of cyber attacks, and the key concepts such as privacy, workplace monitoring, and e-discovery. So, first, understanding the threat landscape. What is it? The threat landscape encompasses all potential threats to individuals and companies, data, and operations. Why is cybersecurity incidents so prevalent? One, it's increasing complexity and expanding systems, right? Companies will perform upgrades, create enhancements of their applications, and often these present new threats to companies, new vulnerabilities. So organizations rely on interconnected systems, including IoT devices, that means Internet of Things, and cloud services, creating more entry points for cyber hackers. The prevalence of BYOD, bring your own device, introduces unmanaged devices into our networks. So what does that include? That includes personally owned laptops, phones that we take to our work to perform whatever duties we have to do, right? Ideally, the company would buy and assign you a new laptop or a company-owned phone so they can properly manage it. However, BYOD has becoming more popular, and individuals are bringing these types of computers, IT assets into the organization, which opens up new threats to the company. So we also have a reliance on commercial software. Many organizations depend on third-party software, which have known vulnerabilities. These are often exploited by attackers before patches are applied, right? What am I talking about? Commercial software like Microsoft 365, Google Docs, Adobe Creative online, right? These are things that we use for productivity, but we are buying them as a service from another company. And this brings a threat to us as individuals, as companies, and government entities. So this brings in sophisticated threat attacks. Cyber criminals and nation states use advanced tactics like zero-day exploits, which are attacks on unknown vulnerabilities and AI-powered malware. So what are the effects of cybersecurity incidents? Well, we kind of touched on it with financial losses, reputational damages, right? So with financial losses, like for instance, ransomware payments, that can be costly. These criminals are not asking for hundreds of dollars. They're asking for many thousands up to millions of dollars, actually, usually in the form of Bitcoin. And there's legal fees to be had here. And there's also operational disruptions while your data is held captive by the cyber attacker. And then we touched on reputational damage. This is loss of customer trust and public confidence, which leads to less business. So when you have reputational damage via cyber attack, companies may not want to partner with you because they would feel that their data is unsafe and they don't want the reputational damage that comes along with partnering with someone who has had a cybersecurity attack. And then operational impact. So again, ransomware causes downtime, right? So downtime is usually money in business. So if you are having a downtime, you aren't able to make a sale, you're unable to execute contracts, many sort of things. So these can be very costly for a company, and these are mission critical. And then we have legal and regulatory consequences, right? If you're a company that operates in the health industry or in the payment industry or even in the government industry, if you have a cyber attack, there could be some issues with your regulatory compliance moving forward or more scrutiny. And this can cause more issue for the company as far as getting approved for the regulatory standard. So let's talk about these cyber attacks. We talked about ransomware. Um, that's a type of malware. Basically, it encrypts data, and the cyber attacker, demands payment for your data to be given back to you. And then we have viruses, of course. We've spoken about this. It infects and spreads through systems by attacking files. And then worms, they spread independently across networks. And then Trojan horses appear legitimate. These are things that we've talked about in previous videos and previous lessons that we're kind of touching on today as far as malware goes. And then there's something called blended threat. Our PowerPoints talk about blended threats. What are these? It combines multiple types of malware to maximize the damage, right? So in order, for instance, just a scenario, a cyber attacker needs to get into your network. They send a phishing attack, right? That's a type of attack. The phishing email downloads and installs malware. That's another type of attack. And then that malware leads to an opening for the cyber attacker to release a ransomware attack on the company. So that's very complex, sophisticated scenario, and it does happen all the time. Let's touch on a little bit more about phishing, and we've touched on this before. Phishing are emails, messages, and their purpose is to trick the user, right? Trick a user into divulging more information or giving payment information, some kind of, or clicking on links to download malicious software. And then there's something called spear phishing, basically highly targeted phishing attacks on specific individuals, like a CEO, financial officer, CIO, Chief Information Security Officer, or key individuals, key players in the company, like someone from HR, someone from finance, procurement, or someone in operations. And then let's talk about spam. Well, what's a spam? Unsolicited messages that often deliver malware or scams, right? Well, what's the difference between spam and phishing? Well, they're both unsolicited, right? And they both can deliver scams and deliver malware. So essentially, they're kind of the same. So now let's move on to the next one. It's denial of service. Basically, it's a form of attack to where the cyber hacker launches some sophisticated attacks on your systems, which overloads them to the point where you can't use them, right? And then let's talk about advanced persistent threats, APTs. These are long-term targeted attacks often executed by nation states. Not always, because they can happen to private also. And then cyber espionage or cyber terrorism. These are stealing sensitive information for political and economic gain. Computer fraud and abuse. This is including unauthorized access, data theft, financial frauds. Some examples of this is maybe stealing and releasing company financial information for a public company so that investors or potential investors can gain an advantage on the market. So with all these threats, how do we implement a strong, robust cybersecurity program? Well, one, you have to have risk management. Risk management is identifying, assessing, prioritizing risks on our assets, on our data, on our people. And then use tools like risk matrices to prioritize the risks that we identify and start addressing them from the highest to the lowest. And then defense in depth. What is that? Implementing multiple layers of security controls, including firewalls, intrusion detection systems, encryption, endpoint security, data loss prevention, so many things. And then user awareness training. This is to educate employees so that they know what to do if in the event that a phishing email comes. How do they report that? Or someone is trying to scam them by asking for discounts or some other thing. And then incident response plan. An incident response plan is critical so that a company and their people are better prepared to handle cybersecurity incidents as they come. And they'll always come. There's going to be phishing emails, there's going to be viruses. We have to be able to act quickly and eradicate the threat so that it's not in our network trying to steal our data, trying to infect more systems. And then access controls. Access control is the use of principle of least privilege, and this is to minimize unauthorized access, right? Someone from IT should not be able to view HR data or financial data. These things are highly confidential. And then let's talk about backup and recovery. We in IT have to be able to regularly back up and restore our systems so that in the event there is a disruption, we can restore our systems at a different region much faster than we could before. And then let's talk about privacy in cybersecurity. Privacy involves protecting personal and sensitive information, not just from a personal perspective, but also from a company perspective. This includes unauthorized access. This ensures compliance with whatever regulations we have to adhere to, like GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, and while this helps us maintain our customer trust, right? So this goes in line with our reputation. And then I mentioned e-discovery at the beginning of this video. E-discovery, electronic discovery, is the process of identifying, collecting, and analyzing electronically stored information, ESI, for legal processes. What is this used for? It's basically for litigation to provide evidence. What's the relevance? Well, in cybersecurity may result in litigation processes, right? Let's say there was an incident and we have to go to court. Litigation process needs to start, and then e-discovery needs to be conducted. This includes emails, logs, backups, and this all becomes critical evidence in the litigation process. All right. Some of you might be extremely interested about this, workplace monitoring and surveillance. Why cybersecurity use monitoring? Well, for security. Security to detect insider threats, one, right? We need to know if people are purposely leaking information outside of our organization. And we need to be able to stop that because some of that may be confidential, some of that may be sensitive, some of that may be trade secrets, right? These could be very damaging for the company. And then productivity. This tracks an employee's performance and adherence to the company policies. So if you're sitting there wondering, oh, is my company tracking my work hours? They're able to view internet usage, how much you're using your computer as far as office documents, how much you're collaborating with other people, how much you're meeting with other people. They can do it. Some advanced surveillance are key logging. This tracks every keystroke made with your computers. Facial recognition, right? If a company has facial recognition as far as their biometric logins or entry, um, they have your bio, they have your face. So this monitors physical access to secured areas, right? So they have to have your face. So that's part of surveillance. Screen recording, right? A lot of companies have CCTVs or cameras deployed around their buildings for security purposes, right? But throughout the day, they'll be able to see you. They'll be able to see you going to the break room, their bathroom, or wherever, right? Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. This is for security purposes, just in case there's a fire or a threat actor that's trying to do physical harm to the office people. And then we have AI-powered tools, relatively new. This analyzes patterns to detect anomalies or risks, right? But this can be used against us. If you look at some of the cybersecurity tools right now, we can actually use Copilot and ask it, how productive has Dr. Conrad been, right? What has he been doing all day? Who's he been sending emails to? Copilot is able to provide that data. So there's obviously ethical issues in that. One is privacy, right? You're being monitored. Employees may feel privacy is being violated. And then trust erosion, right? Excessive surveillance can create a culture of mistrust, right? Happens. And then legal challenges, balancing monitoring with compliance and privacy laws to over monitoring, right? There has to be a balance. You can't have a camera in the bathroom, inside the bathroom. That may be funny, but it's truth. You can't do it. That's extreme. But you can have it in the hallway. It may or may not lead into, have a view of the bathroom, areas, but there can't be one inside there. Same time, there can't be one inside of prayer rooms or breastfeeding rooms. Believe it or not, there's companies that have those. And then finally, for this video, it's getting a little long. I apologize. It's 18 minutes now. But I did want to touch on the foundational aspects of cybersecurity, which is CIA. I've talked about it before. That's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Again, confidentiality ensures that nobody is viewing our sensitive data. Integrity is making sure that nobody is modifying our confidential and sensitive data. And then availability, the fact that our data is always available for us to use in order to be productive, to make those sales, to close those sales, and stuff like that. So, in summary, for chapter 3 and 4, cybersecurity is dynamic, multifaceted, discipline, essential for protecting organizations from their ever-evolving threat landscape, which we talked about. And you guys have to understand why incidents occur and what to do when incidents happen, right? You have to know how to report it. Organizations have to know how to handle it in order to fix it much faster than they can. And then, of course, how to implement preventive measures with firewalls, data loss preventions, endpoint protection, intrusion detection and prevention systems, and stuff like that. Anyway, I think that concludes our video and our micro lecture. I hope you all are having a great week. See y'all next time.